352-239-8546. That's 352-239-8546. Hey, don't forget good old Amanda at Pacific West Bamboo. Pacific West Bamboo, 503-839-8126. You can reach her at demroots@oppermail.com. Pacific West Bamboo, your number one source for timber, construction, and craft-grade bamboo poles, plants, products, and more. They specialize in eco-friendly reclaimed wood products for the home and garden. They're located in Portland, Oregon, servicing the Northwest for over 10 years. They can be reached at 503-839-8126. That's 503-839-8126. Her Facebook page is Pacific West Bamboo. They can and do ship nationwide, and they're currently getting a new line of bamboo flooring, veneers, and laminates made from Guadawa bamboo, one of the world's strongest bamboos, grown and produced and manufactured in Central America using only economically and environmentally friendly practices and standards. Good old Mike Ray at infinityhomeplans.com. Check out Infinity Home Plans and Design Services, your resource for 3D and 2D draftsman services. They offer a multitude of products, including stock home plans, 2D digital drawings, 3D models, renderings, and more. That's infinityhomeplans.com. Hey, don't forget emailrevealer.com. That's my website, emailrevealer.com. And we offer all different kinds of services. Current place of employment locate. Let's say you're trying to locate where your ex-husband or your ex-wife is working so you can collect on child support. You contact us, we can locate their place of employment for you and help you collect on that child support. Let's say you think that your husband or your wife is cheating on you. Give us their email address and we can trace it back to online dating websites and dating services. So we have a multitude of services on emailrevealer.com. Hey, don't forget the New World Mexican Women. Okay, and I just Google New World Mexican Women. You can find their book where they first describe their love letters to their men and their sons and their uncles and their brothers who have traveled from South America to North America to work as migrant workers. But the women down in this town there in Guerrero, Mexico, they want their men to come back. So they've written these beautiful love letters and they've put them all in this beautiful coffee table book. First, the letters are written in Spanish, handwritten. You can see pictures of the people writing the books. And then it comes on after that, and it's typewritten in English. And then also, too, the second half of the book is teaching you how to make authentic Mexican jewelry from these New World Mexican women. You can find their book on Lulu.com. It's only $19, or you can download the digital edition for free. That's New World Mexican Women, and it's a two-part book where first part is the love letters, and the second part is the making the handmade jewelry, the authentic Mexican jewelry. But you can also contact them, too, as well, if you want to get a deal on wholesale jewelry from Mexico, from these women.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator, and Opperman. The show is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. Get a free audio book and help support the show. And don't forget, too, we really need sponsors. We really need donations to keep the show running. You can go to OppermanReport.com. We're listener-sponsored. We survive on your support. You can click on the donate button over there, or you can just send a PayPal donation to OppermanReport@gmail.com. Also, like right now, we're like number 5 on TalkStream Live. We're ahead of Sean Hannity. We're beating Hannity. We're right behind Glenn Beck. We're right behind Michael Savage. So if you want to place an ad on here, a lot of people will hear your ad. Plus, it goes on YouTube and Spreaker and iHeartRadio forever. You know, but by the end of this year, we'll have over 1 million hits views on YouTube. So if you want to get your ad on there, you can get in on the ground floor, and a year from now, 1 million people will hear your, supposedly, however that works. But we're here with Dave MdGowan, author of Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, Understanding the F Word, which is fascism, and Program to Kill. Dave, what do you think about these trips, these unmanned trips we're taking to Mars? with this Mars rover and stuff like that. Do you buy that?
It's pretty questionable, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. And the asteroid one was the one where we supposedly landed some probe on some remote asteroid or some type thing.
No, well, I think we actually sent Clint Eastwood up there and a couple of those guys that landed on the asteroid, didn't we?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
I mean, one question that comes to mind is why? Why put so much effort and money and research into such a curious project of landing on this, random interplanetary body out there? And from what I remember, it took like years for the thing to get there, and just seems kind of unlikely that the thing would actually, perform properly for the amount of time that it would take to even get there before they even got to the landing and testing and whatnot. And I mean, wouldn't the technology be like already obsolete by the time
That's true. Yeah.
And I don't know. It just seems very questionable to me that. We can't build anything here, that stays here on Earth that operates properly for that amount of time. So what are the odds that we can launch it into space, into this largely unknown environment with no means of, doing any maintenance or repairs, and expect that years later the thing's still going to be performing properly? It's very questionable in my mind anyway.
Yeah, and they had that Mars rover that was up there, then it stopped working, and then suddenly, it almost looked like it had been wiped with a Kleenex, like with a Windex. Yeah, what is going on with this? NASA's insane. And they lose stuff. They lose records, they lose photographs, whole archives of stuff.
Well, that's another amazing thing, I mean, for my entire life, well, not my entire life, because I was, 9, I think, when the first one supposedly successfully landed. But ever since then, it's been beaten into my head and into everybody else's that this was the single greatest technological achievement of the 20th century. Just this huge scientific landmark event, landing men on the moon. Nothing like that had ever been done before or since, and it was just this huge. The single greatest technological achievement of the 20th century. And you would think that being the case, that every artifact connected to that would be very carefully preserved and cataloged and stored somewhere in a temperature-controlled vault or in the Smithsonian or whatever, under heavy guard and lock and key and, preserved for posterity, right? But yet, what we find instead is that NASA seems to have lost like everything. If you go looking for the plans for the launch vehicles, we don't have those. The original tapes, seem to have lost those. The telemetry tapes, those seem to have gone missing. The majority of the moon rocks, I mean, it's just on and on down the list. It's which is very convenient, because if those technical specifications and drawings and original, all that original, paperwork or whatnot was in existence, you would think that a, modern, 21st century scientist could look at those and determine whether these various components of the mission actually had the capability of doing what they were supposed to do, or whether they were just, stage props, basically. Yeah. But we can't do that because, none of that information is available for review very conveniently.
Yeah, it turned out some of those rocks turned out to be fake, too. They were on display in other countries. They weren't even real.
Yeah, a little embarrassing for NASA when their moon rocks turn out to be pieces of petrified wood that
but they don't even blush. They don't blush,
proudly displayed for decades. Yeah. As moon rocks.
There's not even an apology. There's no press conference. There's no investigation. There's nothing. It's funny because we came up with the expression from this. If you can land a man on the moon, we can put a man on the moon, but you can't do this, right? But you know what? Supposedly, we could land a man on the moon, but we couldn't land those same guys back on Earth. They had to come down in a parachute and land in the middle of the ocean. at the splash land in the middle of nowhere. And I can remember being a kid. I was like 6 years old, watching this and saying to my mom, "But Mom, one time too, they couldn't even find it. It was like 5 hours they were looking for this thing." And I said, "But I don't understand. Why can't they find it? It went all the way to the moon. It met up with the LEM, and the rendezvous back, in the middle of space." And she says, "Oh, you don't understand. The ocean's really big." I said, "It's no space. The moon is big." It's insane.
And all of them, of course, landed safely in the ocean. We never had one miss and, crash land into the, Arizona desert or anything like that. They all landed perfectly into the ocean, safely into the ocean, of course. The safety record is just phenomenal, compared to what we have today. But, there were all kinds of amazing, technological achievements. We created this multi-stage rocket that could, shed parts as it went along. And, there were a lot of huge supposed, major milestones, major firsts that had never been done before, performing a docking maneuver in lunar orbit, and landing on the surface of the moon, taking back off from the surface of the moon, somehow rendezvousing with the command module and performing this docking maneuver in lunar orbit, nothing remotely like that had ever been done before or since.
Right.
It's never been done since. But yet we couldn't, when we got all the way back from doing all these amazing things, we just, dumped the guys into the ocean with a parachute, I never thought about that, actually, but that is kind of funny.
Because I'll never forget, we couldn't find them. There was one time and I said, how could we not find them? Like, why is it taking so long? Oh, you know what else, man, blew me away, too? Have you ever seen the videos of when the Russian cosmonauts come off out of their spacecraft? They land their thing, right? And they put them on beach chairs right there out in the open. And they sit them down on these beach chairs. They can't even stand up. They're like, they're like limp. And then they start fanning them like with a notebook to give them air, So like, how could our guys be landing after going all the way to the moon and back? And they come strutting out of that, out of that little pond, like nothing happened.
And they look like movie stars,
Right.
I mean, in some of the earlier, tests where, people had spent like a few days in orbit or whatever. And, these are conditions where, hygiene is not something that's real easy to tend to, It's, I would think just relieving yourself would be, a difficult proposition, let alone, brushing your teeth or combing your hair or shaving or you can't shower or bathe. And
right.
I mean, this is like spending a week on Survivor or something, and yet they come back and they're like television ready. They're rested, they're refreshed, they're fresh scrubbed, they're well groomed. And these don't look like people that just crawled out of a cramped space capsule that they spent,
right.
an extended amount of time in. It's just, it doesn't quite fit.
Just think wearing that suit for 3 days and that backpack and that helmet, and the gloves. Just doing that, you would need twice the amount of food and water that you'd have here on Earth walking around. How could we pack all that much? Well, they had Tang. I'll give them that. They had the Tang. Of course, that got them a little further along. But, how could you pack all that food and water for 3 days for 3 men under those kind of conditions with the batteries and the...
I know. Yeah, just the power supply to keep everything running, just the sheer number and weight of batteries that would be
right.
required to keep all of these, not only the spaceship, but all of the life-sustaining functions,
right.
temperature control and, oxygen control and food. Yeah. And I mean, just, the quantities of food and water and, just all kinds of things that they would have, spare parts and, tools and stuff. Because if something goes wrong on the spaceship, you can't pull out the phone book and call the local repairman to come and fix it, So you got to have everything conceivable for every possible emergency situation, for every possible contingency, as well as just the basic life-sustaining functions, the basic